So today I have two special guests. And yes, I always say special guests because I think that anyone that comes on this channel is special. So once again, I have two special guests. Some of you already know John, and me and John have some other videos coming out. We are doing a part two to the CIA video, so stay tuned for that. And we have another special guest today. This is Trina, and Trina's actually the one responsible for connecting me with John. As John had mentioned that sometimes his communications get tampered with, so to say. Trina's the original person to end up contacting me in behalf of John. So this is Trina, and if you want to see Trina's personal story too, she also did an interview recently on I think it was Stop the Shunning channel, I think.
Yes.
So you can see Trina's whole story on that channel. Um, so welcome, Trina, and if you want to just give my audience a quick introduction.
Hi, everyone. My name is Latrina, and I'm originally I'm an ex-JW. I was in the religion for 23 to 24 years or so. Left about over 30 years ago. Um, and reason how I know John is because we went and were raised in the same congregation growing up. And we just this year recently got in touch with each other just by happenstance after 40 years of non-contact. So we decided to get together and do some things.
And you guys are both from Menlo Park congregation, right? Or that area?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Yes. So he, I think he, when did you stop going, John?
I better say 1983, 84, but yeah, I'll say 85, 1985. That's when I left the congregation about that time.
Yeah,
So
he,
I grew up with Trina. That's how I know her. Um, we were in the Menlo Park congregation, and originally I contacted her because I'm kind of I shouldn't use this word, but I'm kind of targeted by the quote unquote powers that be, so that I can't even sometimes send an email to anyone. Um, and if I do, I don't necessarily trust that it's gone to the person that it was intended to. Um, so I had Trina contact you, because I wanted to know how this was about and why you were using my picture all over. Um, but yeah, that's what started all this.
So, John, are you surprised that Trina's here on my channel, she's not afraid? Because, word on the street is I'm dangerous, I'm threatening towards women. Apparently the latest one is I'm a predator now. So uh
Uh,
why would you even let Trina come on a show like mine when I'm such a danger to I guess the XJW community, right? I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I've already said my piece, but I know like as a personal friend of mine, I know that there's stuff that you want to say about it, but I am done personally. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? And why would you let Trina even be connected with me when I'm such a dangerous person?
well,
Suddenly, though, by the way.
yeah, well, suddenly. Um, I originally when I had Trina contact you, it's because you were kind of this bright shining star in a sea of black. And I say that because you were intellectual and you knew certain things already. You knew certain things that you weren't telling. And I wanted to test that more or less. And when she contacted you and when we talked privately, then I realized, okay, this is the guy. You were the guy that I could tell certain things to. And the first video we did, I was very surprised by the comments um, from your audience. And I realized these people are not just like the typical YouTubers. they're not just looking for some entertainment. These are very intellectual, deep thinking people, and they could see nuances, and they could see, you know, through the facade of any crap. And I thought, this is the audience that I can tell my secrets, some of my secrets to.
Yeah, and I like your. I didn't know about your channel, but he had told me about your channel and wanted me to get in touch with you. And I started watching your videos, and you cover things that a lot of people don't cover. Um, peeling back the layers of, what are they actually putting in their material, and that you may not necessarily see it. I like the way your coverage on that. And the reason why I like the fact that you put out that recent video where you were showing that you were being harassed by people based on the fact that you put out information regarding, the Christina Vertolomo information, and the way you presented it, even though the video is no longer up, I saw it, and I know other viewers saw it, and it calls to the fact that things are happening to you, and people don't want this information getting out. So they'll send, whatever trolls they need to send to get you off your game, to make it seem like your information is not valid, that you're not valid as a person. So if they can't discredit what you're putting out, they're discrediting you. So when you put out the information, even though you may have said that it was long-winded, but at the end of the day, you explained it perfectly to where we could, if I didn't know you, and I don't, but the way you put it out there is like, yeah, you're being targeted. It's not a matter of, oh, you're being a mean person. I mean, anybody can go do something like that, and be put in situations that you may not necessarily think you're in, and people saying stuff about you, putting stuff out, because it's been done to me. People don't know me from Adam, saying stuff, this and that. And I'm like, at the end of the day, if the information is true, then it's true. You can't stop information from flowing. So it only made whoever tried to come against you really look like a fool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I took it.
I just
That's
want to add one thing in there too, that it's interesting because some of their response videos I didn't even waste my time watching, but I don't have any interest in trying to get any of their response videos taken down because I can stand to my truth. So it's interesting that like now that my video's gone, that I heard that like they're all making their own response videos. Yep, I'm not trying to have their videos taken down, but they all got my video taken down. Well, why? You know what I'm saying? They can say whatever they want about me. I don't really care to even try to, oh, let me contact YouTube. But there must have been something in that video that was so powerful that would cause all of them to feel like we need to do everything we can to get this video taken down. And that's just like what Watchtower does, right? That the evidence against Watchtower is so damaging that the only thing they can do is try to remove it, right? That's
Yeah.
why they got rid of all the old books and all that stuff. That's why they tell witnesses, don't listen to what apostates have to say. Like, well, why? Because they know if you listen to what so-called apostates have to say, the truth is clear as day. So just for the record, the fact that people went out of their way to get the video taken down, it's because everything that I said was true. That's the bottom line.
You had documentation to prove it. And when you laid it out, it made sense, and what they can't say nothing. They can't.
Well, I personally have another theory. I told you my theory, but um it was all it was all a targeted attack that was designed to discredit you and your channel. And I don't believe it had anything to do with Selena Vertolomo. I think that was used as an excuse, but I don't think it has anything to do with her, really. I think personally it's about what we talked about in the last video, the Watchtower and the CIA. That's me personally what I think it's really about. But they just use Selena Vertolomo as a vehicle to come after you. But I personally think that they're trying to get the channel shut down, and the Watchtower does not want to do anything overt or that will be directly connected to them, because they're again plausible deniability, and that's what I said. They work through third parties. And so that whole situation, as far as I'm concerned, was just the Watchtower working through third parties to try to get what they want achieved you off of YouTube, or making you, discrediting you to a point that people will second guess. Um, because that's a typical smear campaign that they use in politics. It's a typical smear campaign that the CIA is known for. It's a typical campaign that the Watchtower has become known for. So whenever I see people, especially people with Freemasonry connections, I mean, that's really the kind of the last nail in the coffin to me. Um, because whenever you deal with people who are connected to the Freemasonry, it always it becomes chaos. You know, they try to muddy up the water so that nothing looks clear, so that no, you're not sure who to believe and who to trust and all that kind of stuff. And those are old tactics, but I guess they are of the mind that they believe, the old ways still work best. I don't know, but that's my take on it. It was just it was all designed to try to make you look bad, and to and they hit you in the soft spot, you know, and by that I mean this, they appeared to be women and being attacked by Quinn, and it smelled psychological from the jump street. And I was hoping that your audience and other people involved wouldn't fall for this. That's what I kept saying, because I was quiet. I didn't get involved. I didn't say anything. My 2 cents doesn't matter anyway. But I kept thinking, I hope his audience is not so dumb that they fall for this crap, because I could see through it. Dealing with the Watchtower as long as I have, I could see through the game very quickly. And I just hope that your audience would, and surprisingly, they all got it, and they all saw through the crap. And that's when I decided, okay, there's millions of people on YouTube, but this group, they're smart enough to be able to see the issues and know what's going on. And that's when I decided, okay, this is the audience that I should reveal some secrets to, because they can handle it.
Yeah, and I just want to add too, John, that I don't know if you read all the comments on our videos, but I got quite a few comments and people were saying like, "Oh, you found a new co-host, right? Like when's John coming back?" So they do like you a lot, just to
I
put it
I,
out
I
there.
don't I don't understand that, because Trina will tell you I'm an acquired taste. Not everybody's gonna like me. Um, and I thought they would be sick of hearing from me by now, but if they're listening and they like the subject matter, okay, I'll be here for it. I mean, and the first time we talked, it was off camera, but I realized this man is articulate, he's intellectual, he can see issues, he can see what's going on, and I won't have to convince this guy of anything, because every time the few times I've talked about this, they people come at me with this glazed over look in their eye, like, you're a conspiracy theorist. The Watchtower's not doing that. They're all about brotherly love. And Trina will tell you the Watchtower is anything but brotherly love. Um, and I first needed to see if people understood that before I went into the other areas, and the other evidence and the other things that I had. Um, it just makes no sense showing a bunch of evidence to people who aren't going to get it, and your audience has demonstrated to me that they will get it. So I'm going to be releasing some documents. By the time you see this video, there's probably going to be a link in the description for some documents that your audience will be able to download, and it will answer a lot of questions. I think the person's email or their name is Laney 8387. She asks a lot of questions and she wants to know certain things. So Laney, this one's for you. You'll be able to download certain documents that will explain to you why they need pedophiles and other documents. So
And I just
look,
want to clarify for my audience too that I was done, like I said, responding to the attacks against me, but John is my personal friend. And before we started recording, he did express he did have some things to say, so that's why I brought this up. Because I know some will try to say, "Oh, you old Quinn, he said he's done. Look, he's bringing it up again." I'm not bringing it up, but John is my friend, and if he wants to speak on what happened, I'm gonna let him speak. Same thing with Trina.
yeah.
So and they are my friends.
It
So
was it was a game from the beginning, and it was put together so haphazardly and so quickly that it was raggedy. And I was
Your
able to,
response was so epic.
yeah.
I
And
was like,
and
okay.
that's when I realized, man, this guy is sharp because he's like, I'm 10 steps ahead of my opponent. And I was thinking, yeah. And the minute you said that in the video, I thought, make make a mental note. Do not play chess with Quinn. Because he'll be 10 steps ahead of me, and I'm not much of a chess player, but it really gave me insight to your mind and how it works, and I like the methodical coldness of logic. And you like Trina said, it was epic.
yeah, I think too, one mistake they made is that they all ganged up on me, but the thing is, truth is stronger than falsehood.
Yeah,
So truth weighs more. So when you got 10 people coming against me, if they're coming against me with lies, the truth is just going to cut through that. And that's what I do on my channel. I expose Watchtower. I'm going to do the same if you attack me personally. Um,
yeah.
but anyway, so I wanted to discuss this with John and Trina because looking into Selena Vertoloma, there's some very disturbing things. And I'm going to call out some BS on certain XJWs that are saying things like, oh, she's in witness protection. Oh, she's working on a federal case with certain JWs and all this stuff. There's some really strange things going on that make me believe, and I can't prove it, but I believe that something really could have happened to her. And when certain people in XJW community are saying things, oh no, no, she's fine. I just talked to her yesterday. I think people who are connected to Selena's disappearance and that are Watchtower plants have an agenda so that nobody goes looking for Selena. Oh, she's fine. Oh, I talked to her. Oh, I'm working on a federal case with her. Oh, she's in a witness protection program. And yet she is opening up strange businesses that almost sound like maybe money laundering and weird stuff going on. And but anyway, so I'm just gonna show you some facts about Selena even knew things that she apparently did just a few months ago. Which makes me question, did somebody assume her identity and is doing weird things and leaving weird clues behind? And that could be the reason too why I got attacked because when I started talking about Selena and then I got attacked the way that I did, I'm thinking, are there XJWs that are trying to keep the name Selena hush hush so that nobody starts to look into it? But anyway, I'm going to just go over some of this stuff. And I want to say for my audience too, John and Trina don't know all the stuff I'm going to show them. I share with them in tiny, tiny bits here and there, but you're going to see their honest reaction on the different documents that I found. And let me know in the comments what you think, if you think that this is strange or not. So the first thing is that Selena Vertolomo, or at least somebody assuming her identity, set up this business called Treeline Global. And it was transferred into California in 2025. But apparently she opened it up in Colorado first, which that's another weird thing. But anyway, this is Selena Vertolomo's company that she created in 2025. For some reason, it was first started in Colorado. But anyway, so this is her company. And notice what it says that she does. Who are we? Treeline Global is a private R&D firm based in Menlo Park, California. That's interesting. Of all the places in the world, Menlo Park, right? That's if that's not a little subliminal clue of something.
Let me cut in here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Let me cut in briefly. Um, when you had first mentioned this last week, uh, I started doing some digging, I guess I could say. Um, this company is 10 blocks from my house. Um, and I was always under the impression that Selena Vertolomo was based on the East Coast. That's where she was living and that's where she was. And so I know she grew up in California, but why Menlo Park? Why, as Trina put it in that video that she did on Stop the Shunning, um, Menlo Park is kind of infamous. Um, they've tried to keep it out of the news. They tried to keep it out of the media, but Menlo Park is infamous. There's a lot of things that were going on in the congregation that even we as children didn't know. Um, and so I keep that in the back of my mind whenever I see this, because I'm thinking of all the places, 50 something states, why California, why Menlo Park? And, you know, it seems like a hotbed of trouble or something going on, or I don't know. But everything that I looked at regarding Selena Vertolomo ended in a brick wall, a dead end. The companies, uh, certain names that are attached as the chief executive officers and other people, it was all a dead end. And so I started thinking, is she dead, or unalive, you know, because that was the only thing that made sense, that she's either unalive or she's heavily sedated in some sane asylum and they're trying to keep her out of the public eye, or maybe she never existed. Because I say that I'm just throwing this theory out there because they have certain channels on YouTube now that are completely AI driven. You see a person, but it's not a real person. And they can copy. There's an AI. I remember seeing the video on YouTube where this AI can copy a person's voice, and all they need is a 10-second little snippet of your voice, your actual voice, you talking, and this AI can copy it. And you think you're talking to the person that you think but you're really talking to an AI. And I've experienced that before. I mean, I know pretty much all the Watchtower tricks that they try. And
I was gonna say, John, let me just cut you short real quick because we're gonna get into that theory more
oh,
so
okay,
when I show some other stuff connected with exactly what you're saying.
okay,
Um, so just yeah, hold that thought because we're gonna tie that all together, what you're
o-
saying.
okay,
So it says this is what Selena does in his company that she set up, right? Um, specializing in structure renaissance systems and high impact interdisciplinary innovation through their proprietary HERA framework. Treeline develops scalable technologies that bridge science, infrastructure, defense, and human systems. Now, have you ever heard Selena's Vertolomo talk in the XJW community? This is completely out of her field, right? The stuff that it's saying that she's doing. Just to put that out there.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't match the Selena that was chasing Toni Morris down at the Kingdom Hall.
yeah,
So here's another page of the stuff that she's doing, apparently, like all this architecture and planning. So here's her name, Dr. Selena Fennell. And you're going to see this is Vertolomo because on certain documents it has her maiden name and the Vertolomo name. So it says Bay Area born, right? So she was from California, as we know, and it says Selena Fennell is a system strategist and former academic executive who led nine-figure infrastructure initiatives. Nine-figure, that's like you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, right? I didn't know that she was crunching numbers like that. Um, but anyway, so all these names that you see circled of her team, right, of this company, these are all people that can be traced back to Selena Vertolomo in Pennsylvania. Now, I don't have time to go through every little document to show this, so you can do your own research. But you'll see that the same Selena that we know that was in the XJW community, these other names are all connected with her in Pennsylvania, which makes it even more strange why they set up this in Menlo Park, right? They're all in Pennsylvania, right? So on the right side of the screen, this is the Selena and the last interview that she did. And she doesn't look like she's working with billions of dollars. And this was an address she was at that did have a fire. And you can see that the building looks more like a housing project. Now, I'm not saying it is a housing project, but this doesn't look like she's working with billions of dollars, right? The Selena that we represented and the XJW community, it doesn't match this Selena that's running this multi-million dollar business. And this page is just showing the comparison. So the Selena that you see on the left, I almost think that's AI, to be honest. Like I can't say that it is. It could just be a little bit of touch it, but and you're good. I'm going to go more into it, but I don't even think we're looking at the same person, to be honest. But you can see it is the same person, right? They're both presented as being Selena, but I don't think it's the same person that we do in the XJW community living in housing projects versus this Selena that's running a multi-million dollar business in Menlo Park of all places.
Infamous Menlo Park.
Exactly. Here is one article, and let's see what this says. So, in a significant move designed to bolster California's renaissance against climate-related challenges, Treeline Global has introduced the California Framework, a transformative climate initiative valued at an impressive 4.8 billion, based in Menlo Park. Now, California is misspelled there too, so like that's just another little weird thing. You don't really expect the like. I, I'm not sure who wrote this, but $4.8 billion in Menlo Park. Now, just to show you, this is not just one random article, because again, they misspelled California. But let's take a look at another article. So this is on Yahoo Finance. Los Angeles, April 24th, 2025. You see, this is this year, right? What is that, like 4 months ago or so? Treeline Global, a Menlo Park-based infrastructure intelligence and system design firm. Wow,
Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop, stop, stop,
yep,
stop. You said intelligence.
yeah. See that in the middle where I've highlighted right after Menlo Park. A Menlo Park-based infrastructure intelligence and system design firm.
Sounds strange.
She could only be dealing on one thing with that kind of money and that kind of description. One thing only.
Hey,
She's a military contractor, or the company is trying to secure military contracts. That's the only thing it could be. $4.8 billion. That sounds like a, 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 a spending expenditure for the Pentagon.
Did she ever say
Nobody get.
in her videos what her profession was?
if I'm not mistaken, she was just in academics. I think she might have been some sort of a teacher, I think.
No,
Or Yeah, I'm not that sure what it was she did.
That's a big jump to go from being a teacher to a $4.8 billion intelligence collecting gathering company.
And you're supposed to be an ex-witness at that.
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense
With
to
that,
me.
handling that type of money with
Mhm.
that and then establishing a business for that just all of a sudden out random this year. I don't know, it seems weird.
Well, I just want to say going forward, throw all theories out there because at the end of this, I don't know. I have like three different theories on all this, so like anything's possible at this point.
Well, give us
But
one. Give us one theory.
well, I'll wait to the conclusion because there's a lot more I'm going to show you to really get the whole picture of all the weird things going on. But I got three theories, I think. Um,
Hmm.
so so yeah, so infrastructure intelligence and design firm, right? In Menlo Park of all places.
Yeah,
So this one
and
says,
keep in
true.
mind, keep in
Yep.
mind, the company is based less than a mile from SRI, Stanford Research Institute. Now, that doesn't mean anything to most people, but to most people who study this type of subject matter, that's a coincidence that can't be a coincidence. That I'm
Mhm.
just one guy talking, just one guy talking.
Yeah. So as you can see, multiple articles. It's not just because somebody can make a fake story up, but you when you see multiple different articles saying the same thing, then there's some truth to it to a certain extent. So this one says Treeline Global sources 25-year mandate to deploy 6.2 trillion scientific framework. Right now, that's not saying that she has that money, but she's managing
That's
that
a
type of money. She's coming up with some sort of like plan. She's like, again, this is not the same Selena Vertolomo that we were presented to in the XAW community. So and then again, in this article, you see these same names. Again, you can do your own research, but these names can be tracked back to Selena Vertolomo in Pennsylvania.
okay. It, it- I'm gonna say this is probably not very popular, but it smells bad. Something about it.
I would give anything if I could just walk in there and see what it looked like. The actual business.
It's probably like one of those offices that nobody's in it. It's probably that, to be
Yeah, it
honest.
is. It is.
So
You
now,
know where you know where she's located? I'll tell you where she's located because Trina knows the area also. Um, Out there, you know where the Oracle building is?
Yeah.
Okay, she's about a mile or two from the Oracle building.
Mm.
So that puts her right in the center of everything. And I mean, if she's dealing with that kind of budget, $1 trillion budget, I'm telling you, it can only be one thing, you know, military.
what we know, Watchtower does have contracts with the military.
Yes.
Um, so now for anybody, and this is where I'm showing the evidence for anyone that's in denial of this, and XJWs that claim, oh, she's in a witness protection or she's working with authorities and federal case and all this stuff. Well, go to the official California, state of California, and you can look up businesses, right? So you can look at the web address at the top and go to the site yourself, and these are registered businesses in California. So you can search Treeline Global, and you're going to see, and this is showing her full name, Selena Vertolomo Fentanyl. So, and this is showing that the initial filing date was February 27, 2025. So this is not just some random person that made a fake Selena profile on Facebook or something like that. Somebody actually registered a company in the state of California, meaning they're using Selena's credentials, right? All of her credentials, her social security number, birth certificate, everything she needs to legally open up a business. This is legit, right? So look this up yourself. Now, and then if you go to if you click on it, you can notice on the right side it brings up all this stuff. So notice it says in the middle, it was formed in Colorado. So that's just another weird little thing in this whole like web of lies or whatever the hell is going on. So it was formed in Colorado, but the initial filing date was February 27, 2025. And you can see this is her. Um now so let me just make this more clear for those saying that she's in the witness protection and all this stuff. If you're in the witness protection program and if she's in some sort of hiding because of Watchtower, you do not open up a business in your name, right? It's common sense. In fact, if I know a lot of XJWs maybe are still new to the world that are just getting out. So you could watch like a movie like Goodfellas, for example, just to get an idea of what the witness protection program is. But if she's in witness protection, she's not going to be going by the same name, right? That's common sense. So if I can just pull this up and I'm a regular person, no, she's not in a witness protection program. Now, is she working with federal investigators? Well, I don't know. Like, and the way that I'm thinking is if she's working with federal investigators to bring down Toni Morris and actively doing that, I don't see her running some billion-dollar company, while she's doing why some actually that we say, oh no, she's working with investigators. So to me, I think that the XJWs that make those claims are either one, they just believe because they text some number back. They used to be Selena's, and Selena says, I'm fine, don't worry about me. They emailed Selena, and someone that's taken over her accounts wrote back, oh, don't worry about me, I'm fine, right? Because I know people like that they got a response back from Selena, supposedly. Oh, I'm fine, don't worry about me. So either they're just naive that they don't understand how easy it is. Like if she's gone missing and somebody did something with her, you know how easy it is to take over her accounts. Like that's a no-brainer, right? So just because somebody says, "Oh, I got a text from Selena," that doesn't mean anything. Like you got to get your head in the game if you really want to figure things out. You can't be so naive. I mean, if we learn one thing from Watchtower, it should be don't be so naive, right? We believe the eight governing body members control the whole universe, right? Jehovah appointed these eight men to charge the whole universe. They're going to be kings and priests over the whole. We believe that, right? Because we were brainwashed, naive, and stupid. So if Watchtower taught us anything, it's not to be naive, brainwashed, and stupid. So just because somebody says they got a digital response back from Selena, don't be so sure it's Selena. So that's one option. The other option I think of these people that claim, oh, I'm working with Selena and all this stuff and federal investigation and she witness protection program. Some of those people maybe are XJW plants and maybe they're trying to cover it up because you see, if they tell you, oh, don't worry about Selena, she's fine. I spoke to her. We're bringing down Toni Morris. If people believe that, they're going to say, oh, okay, she's fine. You see what I'm saying? So nobody's going to look into stuff like this because you're going to think, oh, no, Selena's already fine. So to me, it doesn't make sense if she's working with the government to bring down Watchtower and all. I don't see her being involved in something like this, vanishing those type of numbers. And Menlo Park of all places, I just don't see it personally. And Trina and John jump in at any point because I can keep talking and talking. So just cut me off if you want to add anything before I go on to the next slide.
Well, unfortunately, Menlo Park is a hotbed of corruption. Um, so if you want to do something slightly illegal, this is where you come. Um, at least that's been my experience. I mean, everything is corrupted. I mean, there's no way around that. But it just doesn't the numbers don't make sense. I mean, you're dealing with a budget of $4.8 billion, and that's not even startup money. If you were this is Silicon Valley. The average capital to go into a company, a startup, I don't know about now, but it used to be $20-30 million, something like that. Not $4.8 billion, and definitely not in the trillions. I mean, when you get into that money, you're either talking, military contracts or something, but it's not a high tech field. Unless you're developing weapons. If you're doing that, then yeah, the $4.8 billion seems about right then. Research and development is what she specializes in because that's what is in her description. So if you're developing military weapons or developing some type of new technology strictly for the military, they're going to throw all kinds of money at you because they want to get it done. So in that respect, $4.8 billion is about the right amount of money if you're, going into that field. Whatever whatever is being done is a facade. That's all it is. It's a cover, it's a facade. It's just supposed to look shiny and look legitimate on the surface, but underneath there are other things going on.
Well, I remember what you on your video that you had, and some lady was supposedly in communication with her, talking to some, saying she was speaking with her directly. And I was just like, well, if somebody who owns or has a company that's that big or dealing with that much money, why would you want to speak with somebody on a, small channel like that just to say, take it down? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you can just contact the person who originally put it up.
Oh
See,
And
yeah. But with
by the
that kind
fact,
of money, she could have a lawyer, you know, send a letter to Jimmy who posted the video. Like they'll like yeah. It wouldn't be hard for somebody with that kind of money to make it very clear, if she really wanted it taken down.
yeah, because by all rights, after the fiasco of the last week and all that's transpired, I, you would think logically, you know, Selena would have called you directly or gotten in contact with Jimmy to get in contact with you. See, and because that didn't happen, people said, "Oh, I talked to Selena. She's fine. She texted me. She's that." psh, I don't believe anything coming from somebody who's connected to Freemasonry. That's just a hard and fast rule that I have personally. I mean, but she, I would think she would shoot up a flare or do something to let you know that she saw the video because by all rights, because of all the hoopla and chaos that came out of the video, that should have been a catalyst for her to get in contact with you. And because she didn't, then now I have to think of negative consequences that maybe something has happened to her. Or, like you said, you know, we've all been fooled by AI. You think it's about, flashy, glitzy videos, but AI is really trained, to be able to learn something, absorb it, and then use it as their own tool or as its own tool. And that's what I see with happening here. I mean, how many people have? I mean, some people said they met her in Washington. Okay, but from there, what do we have? What do we have? How do we know? How can we contact? How can we verify? I mean, these days, unless I'm standing right in front of the person, I automatically assume, I may not be talking to whoever. It could be AI, it could be anything. I don't mean to sound paranoid, but that's the reality of the 21st century that we live in. You know, well, I have my own thoughts, but I just think that this whole thing it smells bad.
Well, it's not paranoid at all because yeah, like it could be paranoid just to think like, okay, every communication is AI, but when you see weird stuff like this, then yes, that's not being paranoid because it doesn't make sense. This makes no sense. This is none of the stuff makes any sense to the Selena Vertolomo we were told was Selena Vertolomo chasing down Tony Morris and doing an interview, what she did with Jimmy. It's not. This is describing something completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you start to see this type of weird stuff, and this is what I'm saying to any XJWs who are not part of trying to cover this up, and you believe, oh, she's fine because you got a text message. Again, just you got to be smarter than that. At this point, you can't trust any email or anything that says she's fine. And in
Yeah.
honesty, at this point, you need an in-person, flat out
Yeah.
in-person communication with her to say anything. Um,
Yeah.
and if you do have an in-person communication for an XJW that claims, oh, they talked to Selena, well, you know what? Do me a favor. Can you ask her how'd she get into managing billions of dollars? 'Cause I'd like to know that.
That's quite
So
a
so
jump.
yeah, if you are in contact with her, if you're in XJW community and you're claiming that you're in contact with her and everything's fine, ask her about this True Line Global stuff. I'd like to know. Um, so this is a nonprofit organization that Selena set up, and this matches the Selena that we know. So this is a company called ArcLight. And I have another anonymous XJW that's been helping me track some of this stuff down. And what my contact told me is that this ArcLight Foundation nonprofit set up in Florida is where she was doing the JW activism type of stuff from. So this might be connected to the Indigo Project or some of that other stuff. So this sounds like the Selena that we knew that would have set this company up. So when you look at these side by side, it seems like two different people. So on the right side, you got the Selena that set up this nonprofit organization, and you see a picture of a place she lived that did have a fire out that looks more like a housing project, right? Doesn't look like she's managing billions of dollars or has $1 trillion budget. And what was it? Intelligence, infrastructure, something crazy that said she did.
That
Um,
that usually mean that's a nice way of saying military.
yeah, or
Depart
like
Department of Defense.
yeah, because notice on the left side, the tree line global Selena Finno is a system strategist and former academic executive who led a nine-figure infrastructure initiative. And just to let you actually know, like nine figures when you count it, seven figures is a million, right? So nine figures, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So are we even talking about the same person? I don't think we are. Now, is this Selena that set up Tree Global? Is it just an AI takeover? Is it just like, is this just a fake? Is somebody else doing this stuff in her identity, to keep her alive so that nobody actually goes really looking and find out, hey, maybe she's not around anymore, right? So, but either way, whatever theory you come up with on, I mean, it's not the same person that I feel like. I don't feel that we're looking at the same person. It just doesn't make any sense. And again, if you know an XJW that makes a claim, oh, I talked to Selena, she's fine, well, ask that person about this and say, where did she get these nine-figure infrastructure like budgets and this? Like, what the hell is this stuff? It makes no sense.
Like I said, it smells like a cutout job, and that's military. So
So this is interesting. So on Twitter, which is now called X, there's a Selena profile that was just left up, right? Everything else just kind of like vanished, most of her stuff. So this is just miraculously just it's here just for people I think to see it, like little clues being left behind. So it says Arconix 2125 hasn't posted anything. Nine following, one follower, and joined 2025. Now keep in mind we have not seen Selena since 2023. The last time that she was seen where we can verify was her, like the interview with Jimmy and some of her TikTok stuff, she hasn't been active since 2023. So this X profile is saying it was joined February 2025. Now, what's interesting about that date is if we go back to the Treeline Global the official California business registration, when was it formed? It was formed, or what did it say? Initial filing date, February 2025. Right? So in February, not only did she start this Treeline Global company, she also created this uh dummy X Twitter page with no activity. Like, why did she create this in 2025 to post nothing on it? You see, it would make more sense if this was like if she joined in say 2023 and okay, she stopped posting on it, but why would you make an account in 2025 this year for no reason? Right? So a couple things are interesting about this, but the first thing I thought was interesting about this is that in a video that I did that got removed from YouTube because the damage the evidence was so damaging that the only thing they can do is get it offline so nobody can see what I had to say about it. But in that video, for those who've seen it, you know what started the whole thing. And the third thing that happened when I was being attacked is this person pretended to be Selena. Now I'm bringing this up not because I'm rehashing this again, but this is important because there's a clue here. So when this person was faking that Selena said take the video down, if you look closely on the right side, right, that's the screenshot that this person was sending to Jimmy to prove, oh, she's in contact with Selena. Now I'm going to blow it up for you, and I want you to look very closely at that fake profile that was trying to make you take the video down, and this one on X that was just miraculously posted the same month that she started Treeline Global. So this is where they got it from. And I told you in that video, I said this person just grabbed something off the internet and like made a fake profile and speaking for Selena. That's what I said. That's what I predicted. This is the exact same thing that this person got that from. Now, the only other possibility is that not even a possibility, but another thing is that I don't know if that person just grabbed this profile picture and the name and created something fake to message her as Selena, or is that person the same person responsible for creating this fake Selena account on X with no post that was created the same month that Treeline Global, a multi-billion-dollar business, started? Right? You see, I don't know which one's worse. Is it worse if she just copied it and pretended it was Selena, or is it worse if she actually is the one that created it? Right? Well, I think it's worse if she actually created it. So something is really weird about this profile. It's and something who know how the deep state works is how they always have to leave you clues. And I've mentioned this before in other videos, but for those who haven't seen all my older videos, in simple terms, the reason that these deep state people will will put these clues in movies and things like that is because the way they understand karma that if they tell you and put it in your face and you choose to ignore it, then they get away with it. They don't get bad karma because they look at it as, hey, well, we told you, you ignored it, you did nothing about it. So that's how they believe karma. So
Mm.
so they habitually have to give you these clues. That's how they feel about it. And they also believe, not only do they believe that they're free from karma, they believe that you will get bad karma for not saying anything. That's how. So they feel, okay, we told you, and you chose to do nothing about it. So now you're going to get. So anyway, they follow this religiously. So I think that there's a lot of clues being left behind that something happened bad, and I feel like these clues that are being left behind is their way of kind of telling you, no, obviously Selena is not okay, and no, you're kind of dumb if you believe she's in a witness protection program. That so it's like all these things are adding up, like they're telling you that something is wrong. So if you look at her name on this profile that was created the same month, Treeline Global in 2025, with no post, right? For no reason, she just got out of bed and said, you know what, I'm just gonna make an X profile for absolutely no reason and just post nothing for no reason. But anyway, so the name is Archon, right? So that's kind of a strange name, like for her, like Selena, right? Like she couldn't have found a Selena Vertoloma like um page name, like username. I mean, Vertoloma's not like she could have found like a Vertoloma like 25, 30 and put any numbers behind it. So Archon, for those who don't understand, is that it's another word for demons, right? So um the new age people, they will okay, yeah, so new age people, they don't believe in demons the way Christians do, but they do believe in like beings that are not human, that don't have humans' best interest in mind, and some call them archons. And in Gnosticism, that's what they refer as archons, and they had to do with creating the universe, but like they're bad or something like that. I mean, there's different theories on it, but some believe, like people talk about reptilians, and like in the movie They Live, they predict it, or portrayed, weird beings that are not human that are on Earth with us. So archons is another type of being that some believe are responsible for the evil in the world, and that they're controlling people.
And I'm a woman, so if I'm gonna make a page and go have $1 million what I'm handling or whatever, I would not be the first name that pops up in my feed. You know what I mean? So it appears to me, just by me looking at it, it's a fake page, um, assigned to tell somebody something, and it's in code. And then what's the CS 2125? What does that mean?
So I don't know that. At first I thought 2125 could be a date. It could be February 1st, 2025. I know Treeline Global was started. It says it was initially filed in February 27th, 2025. So I'm thinking that could be a date. Or that could have just been generated automatically. Like maybe she went for the name Archon and that was taken, and that could just be like generic, maybe. I don't know. Um, but that's a good point, Trina, and I'm glad you're here with us because yeah, from a woman's perspective, like what you're saying is, yeah, if you're a woman and you're running a billion-dollar company, like that's the name you come up with, Archon, that's what you want to be called. But another interesting thing about this whole thing is that if it's clearly a fake profile, well, hey, that person that attacked me, I mean, are they the one accessing this profile? Because it looks like it, right? It looks she used the same profile. I just don't know if she just like copied the picture and made another Dr. Selena, or maybe she's the one controlling that profile, right? Because you can see on the left, we're dealing with like the same profile. So I don't know. Maybe somebody can ask that person why she named it Archon. I don't know. Um, but it's just interesting that I called it out in my last video. I said it's a fake profile. They just made it up to pretend to be Selena, and I come across it by accident. The source. That's kind of interesting.
I yeah. You're only left with one of two choices when you think about Selena Vertolomo. You're only left with one of two choices, and neither one of them are good choices. You know, um, Clearly something's happened, or if something hasn't happened, you know, they're using Selena as a front, and they know they're going to be dealing with millions and billions of dollars. So they're telling you ahead of time, this is what our budget is, and this is how much money we're dealing with, so that it turns off any suspicions in your mind because they're telling you ahead of time. We're into research and development, we're into intelligence, and we're into this and we're into that. And this is our budget. So you're automatically thinking in your mind, well, everything is already explained away. There's nothing to be suspicious about because they've already explained. They already said that they're in research and development. They already said that they're in intelligence, and they've already said the budget is this much money. It allays your fears in the back of your mind. so that you think, oh, she's started a company. That's all it is to it. But that's what's on top. What's underneath is something that, more sinister, I would think. It's just too much money you're dealing with.
Mhm.
I mean, nobody starts a company and gets a budget of 4.8 billion dollars unless you're, you know, I can think of several professions that will pay that much money, but none of them are pleasant professions, you know. So I mean, I would tend to think something has happened to her, or this is the entity known as Selena Vertolomo doesn't exist. At least not the way you're thinking,
Mhm.
or the way the average person would think. But
Yeah.
like I said, I'm just one guy talking. I'm just
Mhm.
spitballing ideas.
And I'm going to keep emphasizing this. Those XJWs that Selena I'm in contact with, they will ask that person about this right here. Ask about that. Because as you
Oh,
can see, this is not somebody who's working with federal investigators and they're being on the low for protection from Tony Morris. This if she got that type of money, she could buy the witness protection program. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
if she's working with that type of money. But how does she
yeah.
go from the XJW we seen at the White House protests and setting up that arc light foundation to this stuff? It's not the same person.
It seems fake to me.
Mm,
So
yeah.
another weird clue that I think is them like messing with us and leaving us clues behind is notice this at the bottom where it says the Renaissance model, formerly designated Vertolomic. So what kind of word is that she's working on or that the model is? Like you see what I'm saying? It's like her last name, like it's like a clue. Like they're messing with our heads. This is how they
Okay.
play little games with us.
Generally speaking, a woman is not going to make a process, an idea, or a creation. She doesn't name it after herself. Men do that. Men say this is the vertolomic process, because men have this thing about their legacy, leaving something behind and all that shit. But, women are more discretionary. They don't go for fanfare and glitz because they know as a woman in the business corporate world, a lot of other business and corporate executive types don't want to deal with a woman unless they absolutely have to. I'm just saying it. It's not right. Okay. Yeah. Uh, but I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. Men in the corporate world try to avoid dealing with women unless they have to. So just the language, the syntax, and just the way it's laid out, it doesn't sound like something a woman would be striving for. You know, a man, on the other hand, yeah, sure. A guy's gonna think, yeah, I get my name out there and I go down in history and I'll always be known for the vertolomic process or whatever it is, But I mean, like I said, the whole thing smells bad. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know her. I don't know, you know, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm assessing based upon what I know. Just a theory.
Yeah, and if you studied how the deep state leaves these clues behind and stuff like that, this is the kind of stuff they do. Stuff just like this. So I think that name being in like what she's working on is just another reference of they're playing games with us and leaving clues behind. That something is up. So this is also strange too. So this is a Facebook page and it's like I don't know what this company is, but like there's press conferences on here or presentations, and as you can see, that's Selena in the middle, and this I believe I'm not sure where this is from because the date says February 14th, And I could be wrong, but I thought that Facebook, if it's like from another year, it would say the year. So the fact that it says February 14 is making me think it's 2025, but maybe I'm wrong with that. Those who use Facebook more, like maybe you can let me know why, like, is that saying February 14th this year or not? I don't know. There's Selena in the middle, and again, doesn't look nothing like the Selena we know who's chasing down Toni Morris. But what I thought was interesting is that, and again, the deep state when they do these things, they leave these weird like clues behind. So just happens to be the way that this photo is taken. You can see where I have that blue arrow and it's circled. Just by chance, you can see what that line starts to say. It says the Indigo Project, a social study, and I don't know what the rest of it says. So now Selena said the Indigo Project, or at least the Selena we're aware of, was that had something to do with like JW activism or victims or something. I forget exactly what she said, but it wasn't a social study, right? So, but here she is at a press conference or something, and there's some sort of presentation that her and her friends are doing, and just by chance, it just happened to say Indigo Project, but it's calling it a social study. Now, I have a theory on, and it's a crazy theory because I still don't know what to believe after looking at all this evidence. But I have a weird theory about the whole social study, the Indigo
Okay,
Project.
come on, tell me. Come on, let
Well,
me
I
hear it.
I got to show you some more evidence before I tell you like what that theory is because it ties into other things I'm going to show you why I'm
Okay.
thinking that. So so here's a page on Flickr of Selena Vertolomo, and somebody told me that this was her first husband. I didn't know she was married twice, so I don't know if this is the first husband or the second husband, but that's a guy she was married to. And you can find this because this is weird too. Like all her other stuff is like gone off the internet, but this is left up for some reason. And it's just like that Twitter page that she created for no reason. Just she got into bed one day and said, "Let me post a Twitter page for absolutely no reason." Posted nothing on it. But anyway, so here's another weird thing that this is left up for some reason, and you can find this yourself. There's a lot of pages of Selena Vertoloma on here, and you can tell it's Selena, but she looks and don't just look at the way she physically looks, like just everything about her, it just doesn't even seem like she has the same spirit. It almost seems like she's a different person. Now, when you compare this Flickr page and look at the picture of Selena on this Flickr page, and then compare it to the Selena that Jimmy did an interview with, I'm not even sure if it's the same person, to be honest. Are we doing what they call a doppelganger? Like, is Selena Vertolomo like somebody that has no affiliation with Jehovah's Witnesses, and like was it some sort of a social study, right? Some sort of a experiment? Did she come into the XJW community as like an experiment? Um, I don't think that. I'm just throwing a theory out there because there's so many different ways we can go with this. My gut instinct tells me something happened to her with the Selena that we do. But I'm just giving all these different theories out there because that press conference said the Indigo Project was a social study. Social study of what? Of religion? I don't know. But what I find interesting is that no, I'm not a forensic orthodontist or something like that. I'm not no expert in this field. But just looking at this, right? Just using my brain, because here's the thing: like everybody uses ChatGPT and Google like to tell them things all the time. But let's go back to the basics. Forget all that stuff and just use your brain, right? Don't think about what does someone else think or what does an expert say. Just use your brain. Do her teeth look like we're looking at the same person? I mean, and again, maybe I'm wrong because I'm not an expert. I'm not a dentist. But the first two pictures that are from that Flickr page of Selena, where she looks like she has a happy family and there's no connection that even looks like she had ever had anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, just the way she looks. I mean, you can tell it's like we're being presented the same person, but she looks different and her teeth look different. Like her teeth in the Flickr photos almost looks like she has like perfect teeth. Like she, I don't know, had dental work, like very, and I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm just like, I have to be honest when discussing this.
Okay,
Her,
I gotta defer to Trina on this because Trina works or has worked in the beauty field,
yeah.
so she knows facial structure,
Mhm.
she knows jawline, and I would defer to Trina. I mean,
Well,
because
And I
I
it
could
gets
be wrong. Yeah, I could be
think
wrong. I'm just going by what I see.
like it was taken at different times. Got the younger version and got an older version. So I mean, teeth wise, the first two they look different, the same, but the other pictures look different. But I know it could be the angle. Who knows?
that's true. She has a point there.
Could
And
be.
lighting makes a difference.
Now, I will say that from what I understand, I don't think, well, I don't know. Yeah, it could be like a 10-year difference as far as when those pictures are taken. I don't know. But yeah, so that again, I'm not an expert, so maybe this is nothing. Um, but if we are looking at two different people, then those are sometimes inconsistencies you would see if they're not the same person. Um, so here's where it gets even more interesting.
Oh,
So,
there's more.
oh yeah, and this is I think is the last thing. This is where it gets really weird. So there's a YouTube page. You can look this up, Berkeley College Library, and there's 18 videos on this page, but there's only 2 subscribers. That's kind of odd because when a video has like 18 videos, you at least expect 10 subscribers. I don't know, but 2 subscribers is weird. The reason that's strange about the 2 subscribers, why that's significant, is that this channel would almost never be found because of that. Right? This is a channel that will never show up in anyone's algorithm with only 2 subscribers. And the last video was posted 9 years ago. But anyway, this page has like nothing really important on it of any significance until you go down and you'll see on the bottom right live Q&A with author Selena Fennell. So, and this is 10 years ago. And just notice the way she talks.
Well, I finished it completely in June of 2010, and it was published July 15th, 2014. So 4 years. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who's trying to become a published writer?
Any advice for someone who's trying to become a published writer?
Yeah, I mean, the publishing world is such crap. It just is. It's so hard and it breaks you down really badly. But yeah, I would say write everything that you have, and then seek out people that would love it. It's hard. Are you the writer? Because we should talk after class. Okay. Okay.
Do you have any idea of the characters' personalities prior to writing, or do the characters' personalities develop as you're writing the book?
I love that question. No, they develop as I write it. Sometimes I'm really surprised what happens too, and I know that's weird because I'm writing it. And people, that's always an interesting question. But no, they really shape and kind of come to life and flesh out.
So
I'm looking.
now let's look at the Selena that was tracking down Toni Morris and just compare the two.
I'm looking for Anthony Morris.
Who?
Toni Morris III.
Toni Morris? Yeah, he's not here.
Okay. Can you tell him Selena Vertolomo came to see him?
Selena Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Hold on. Do you need to talk to him?
I think he needs to talk to me. He's responsible for the rape stalking and torture of myself, my sisters, and my mother. And I came down here to Lumberton, North Carolina to tell him my goddamn self, sir,
Did he rape you?
that his ass is grass and I'm the mower. His time has come. He has protected child rapists for long enough. He was relocated here to your nice Kingdom Hall. I understand you're a Christian congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. He is directly responsible. He is directly responsible for everything that has happened to me and my family. And I've come for him, and I will continue to come for him.
And what is your name?
Selena Vertolomo. He's very well acquainted with my father, Tony Vertolomo, who is a child rapist and was running a sex trafficking ring inside of the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo. Can I just say this to you?
So I don't know what are your thoughts. My thoughts is that it seemed like a completely different person. But I don't know. That's just me. What do you guys think?
When was this one that where she's sitting in the chair? How long ago was that?
So it says 10 years ago, but it could have just been uploaded 10 years ago because the footage seems really choppy, like it was really old footage. So it may even be older than 10 years ago, but I don't know. But it was at least 10 years ago because it says it was posted 10 years ago.
It seems like it's her to me. It seems like it's her speaking. It's not a big variance as far as her speaking in the first video in the second one. It seems just like she's more pissed in the second one, but of course, but it seems like the same person to me anyway.
And what about your thoughts, John? What do you get out of this? What do you think?
Well, my opinion doesn't matter, but if you're asking,
We're all just speculating, right? Because none of us really know.
okay,
So yeah,
we're
anything's
okay, so we're just speculating. Um, okay, she's okay. I've she's a writer in one video, and in the next video, she's of course being an activist and all that, and now she is running or a part of a $4.8 billion company. That's a stretch. I've written a couple of books. I'm not going to tell you where they are, but you know, um, and I know if you're a writer, you're going to concentrate on that. That's your life. That's your hobby. That's your thing. And you're not going to make a jump like that to a corporation that could have military implications. It's just too far of a, it's not, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's just too far of a jump. Um, but there again, it is possible. But I'm forming other thoughts, and my thing is Selena Vertolomo has been weaponized. She has been weaponized, and she's been weaponized against Toni Morrison, who then got removed from being on the governing body. So I mean, my mind thinks 3D, 4D, 5D, and it doesn't make sense. But she has been weaponized to possibly neutralize Toni Morrison. And then she's shuttled off to parts unknown because she's not needed anymore. See, I was always uncomfortable with Toni Morrison having to step down from the governing body because I had to ask myself, my dad being an elder for 50, 60 years, I mean, I know policy and procedure very well. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I was raised in this. Yes, I'm not baptized. You know, I really got to think about this, and I just know it would be very hard. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. It forms other pictures in my mind and other theories that I'm not going to say here because you know, but I'm just thinking that maybe this part of her story has been weaponized, you know, to get at Toni Morrison in a certain way. And then now that they've gotten what they want, Toni Morrison is removed from the governing body. Ooh, you know, then they don't need her anymore. I think that, you know, Selena Vertolomo is a mystery. I don't think we'll solve it anytime soon because it's intended to not be solved. It's intended wherever you go, you run into a brick wall, or one question, you know, brings on other questions and other things, and you know, it's eh, that's not a rabbit hole I would want to go down. Yeah, and I remember telling you that, you know, last week. I said this is a rabbit hole that you shouldn't touch because of the outlying ingredients and other things that swirl around this situation. I mean, if she's a real person, I would say she's in trouble. If she's not a real person, I would say it's a very clever scam, very clever ruse. I don't know. I mean, don't jump on me. I'm just speculating. I'm just, you know, putting ideas out there because when there's a question that's asked that doesn't have an answer, that kind of needles me. You know, I'll be thinking about it tonight. You know, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll be laying in bed staring up at the ceiling, and I'll be thinking, what about this or what about that? You know, and that's the problem with Selena Vertolomo. I would have thought that with all the fiasco last week, she would have come out to you, or at least to Jimmy. And when that didn't happen, that's when I got concerned. I got concerned either we're being taken for a long ride or this girl's been taken for a short walk off of a long pier, you know, or vice versa. You know, so I can't say either way, you know.
Here's another crazy theory because there's going to be so many theories, like you said, we may never figure it out.
Yeah.
But one crazy theory, I'm just going to say just because, hey, we're going to put all theories out there,
Okay.
is that you notice how it almost looked like she's smiling, and she is smiling. She could be smiling like in a vindictive way because you know she's calling out Toni Morrison, looking for him. But right, if you really look at when she starts to smile, it almost looks like she's really laughing about it, almost like it's almost funny. And I don't know if I can pause it just right.
He's responsible for the rape, stalking, and torture of myself, my sisters, and my mother. And I came down here to Lumberton, North Carolina to tell him my goddamn.
But then it kind of like turns into sarcasm more so. But
Yeah.
one theory is that is she smiling because if you look at this guy closely, is that Toni Morrison a costume? Is this a staged event? Is that why it looked like she almost wanted to laugh? Could she be asking Toni Morris, where's Toni Morris? And that's Toni Morris in a disguise? Because the way he talks, he kind of has a strange voice. It almost sounds like he could be acting, like the way his voice sounds.
Who is a child rapist and was running a sex trafficking ring inside of the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo. Can I just say this to you?
Sure.
In all consciousness and respect for you, I am so very sorry. Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo. Can I just say this to you?
Sure.
In all consciousness and respect for you, I am so very sorry. Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo. Can I just say this to you?
Sure.
In all consciousness and respect for you, I am so very sorry. Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo. Can I just say this to you?
Sure.
In all consciousness and respect for you, I am so very sorry.
Is that Tony Morris right there, dressed up with a disguise on? He matches his profile kind of.
You always bring me very delicious puzzles.
Because it looks like she's about to start laughing, but then she catches herself and then turns it into sarcasm. Like watch closely.
He's responsible for the rape, stalking, and torture of myself, my sisters, and my mother. And I came down here to Lumberton, North Carolina to tell him my goddamn.
His voice to me kind of sounds fake. I don't know, but that's just, yeah, it's just another theory to throw in the box. That's all.
Well, here's my take on that. Isn't she from or Pennsylvania, or didn't she live there or something like that?
So she was born in California, and what she said during the interview with Jimmy was that they moved from California to Pennsylvania when they were young to get away from their father. So she's basically from Pennsylvania, but started off her life in California. I think they moved when she was really young.
Now, isn't Pennsylvania where all them cases
Yep.
Yeah.
are, and they got a lot of them got arrested already?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Mhm.
Remember? Yeah, that's the one.
That's a Watchtower State. That's where Charles Taze Russell was buried at. That's where his pyramids at.
It's not far-fetched to think that really did happen to her. You know what I'm saying? It happened to me. And so it's not a far-fetched thing to think that a young little girl growing up in the hall wouldn't be touched on.
Yeah.
Oh, I do believe he
and
was.
to actually come to the man house looking for him, that, I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish, at that time, but
it's embarrassing. It accomplished an embarrassment, because if you listen very closely, because I like to close my eyes, so I'm forced to listen versus see. When you see something that it influences what you hear.
Mhm.
So when I had my eyes closed, all I heard was she said, Lumberton, North Carolina. And then she said, I know that you're a nice Christian congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. She's being very specific. And when a person does that, they're trying to more or less set you up. And they're telling you in so many words, I know where you are. And that's what she was. I've been in that position myself. When two elders came out here and tried to force their way onto my property, I had to tell them nicely, and one of them said, well, do you know who I am? And I said, I know exactly who you are, Brother Lee. And I said, if you don't get the fuck off my property, you're going to need the police or an ambulance. That's how aggressive they were. So I can understand what she's doing and what she's reading between the lines and having a bit of experience there. It sounds like she's, targeting somebody, telling where they are, the city, the state, the location, the time of day that she went. She knew there was no congregation meeting at that time. You can look out the window in the video. It's daylight, which means she was there on a day that there wasn't supposed to be a meeting, but she still went anyway, which she found somebody. Maybe it was a Saturday. Maybe they were going out in service. I don't know, but it's too specific. And usually when a person does something like that, it's a chess move. She was just setting up for the next chess move. And, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, let me just clarify. So I'm throwing every theory out there. So that last one, I'm putting it out there as like another theory, but that's not what I'm geared towards to believe. Ultimately, And I'll get into it more as the video finishes. There's a lot of different theories about it, but I'll give you my final theory at the end on the one I'm siding with. So I said that because I'm being transparent with every possibility, because some people have questioned, did she fake that video? So I'm saying, hey, that's a theory too. Like, if she faked it, is that Toni Morris in the costume? Because he does kind of look like he matches Toni Morris's profile. And to me, his voice kind of sounds fake. That's all I'm saying. Like it sounds like, just to me, that he something just doesn't sound right about the voice.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo.
Vertolomo. Can I just say this to you?
Sure.
In all consciousness and respect for you, I am so very sorry.
But I don't really think that like my final opinion on that is that no, she's not faking that, but I am being transparent with putting that possibility out there for those who do think something is up with her.
Well, one thing I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna say this and then I'm gonna let it go, is it was very obvious she was recording. Very obvious. She pulled back a little bit on the camera so that she could get a picture of him.
Mhm.
And I know from experience, most Jehovah's Witnesses do not like their picture taken unless it's taken by another Jehovah's Witness or outside in the Kingdom Hall. There's sometimes they would do it when we were kids. You know, after the meeting, we would go outside and they would take, certain ones would take pictures, and it's a friendly thing. And I know from experience, most Jehovah's Witnesses do not like their picture taken by someone who's not a Jehovah's Witness. It automatically puts them on guard. They don't know why, but they automatically, why are you taking my picture? So by the fact that he was so calm about it, and he knew or should have assumed she was recording, that kind of,
It's weird.
filters around in the back of my mind somewhere. It could be nothing,
Mhm.
but you have to look at all those factors, and then come up with a theory based upon the information that you have to work
Mhm.
with.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what people in the comments say, because some are going to maybe lean towards that theory. So there's so many different theories, and I'm not afraid to mention these different theories because at the end of the day, I really don't know. I have no idea really what's going on. I have three theories that I have, and I'll mention
Well,
those at the end of the video.
oh, I gotta wait. I gotta wait till then.
Well, I think there's only one more part. So here's another part of her interview where she's the Selena, the book writer, and listen to how she describes her life here, and then we're going to compare it to what she said with Jimmy.
Yes.
Would you ever want to share your own story? Like, would you ever want to write a book about your own life?
Like a memoir?
Yeah, I guess.
No. No.
Why not?
Oh, my life is so boring.
No, it's not. You're
I
awesome.
didn't think from the little story that you told us, I thought it would be really interesting.
No. I know I don't have any desire to ever write a memoir. You know what? There's just so many cool stories to tell in my brain that I don't have like the time to get going. That my own personal story is like at the bottom of that list for interesting.
Great. Any other questions? Yes.
For teaching, what gave you the thought of teaching differently? Because
Well, she's a writer, but she doesn't want to write her story. You think that's a little strange?
I
She's
think it's
willing.
strange.
She's willing to go to court and expose them, but she's not willing to write her own story.
Well, I noticed too that she said her first response was her life is so boring. Like, what am I, like her story's at the bottom, and like there's nothing. What I'm basically showing is that this Selena has an extremely boring life. She has no interest whatsoever. There's nothing exciting in her life. That's what she's presenting here. But before you go on, let me just now
Okay.
let's listen to this other Selena, well, I'm sorry, I can't say it's not the same person. That's kind of like what I'm thinking, but notice how she then talks about her life according to the most recent interview we have of her.
The other question, I don't know if you can mention it. What is the name of the crime family that you say is secretly behind the curtain of Watchtower? Can you answer that?
I think that's actually generalizing in a way that doesn't do it justice. So, okay. There's individual men in lots of different families that are working behind the scenes, but at a baseline level, my family is one of them. So that's why when I seem really bitchy, it's because the Jehovah's Witness organization wouldn't exist otherwise. They wouldn't exist.
Now, I'm going to go into a little bit more of what she said there to Jimmy. So she's saying there how like her family is part of these elite people who created Watchtower. And then she's gone on record saying things like she was born without blood. It's one of the things she said. She said how I think she said she's of the bloodline of Mary Magdalene, right? So to the XJW community, her story is so crazy that most people wouldn't even believe her, right? So on one hand, the other Selena is saying, "Oh, her life is so boring, and there's nothing. She had no interest in her. Like it's so boring. Like what's she going to talk about?" And then this Selena's chasing down a member of the governing body in a parking lot.
That's what I was
So
talking about. That's what
yeah.
I said.
So one more thing I want to say about this is that in the book interview, this is just my opinion. I get the feeling she's telling the truth. Like I don't get the feeling that she's just lying about like when she says what she says in that first interview, it sounds believable. Like she just seemed like she's just some normal woman, like family, kids, husband. She's an author, right? But her life, she has nothing, like, there's nothing exciting about her life. Like that, it sounds believable when she's saying it. So, but then the Selena that we know of the XJW community, it's like an entirely different person. That's what I'm saying, entirely different person. And don't most authors don't they do want to write their own books? Like, don't a lot of authors or even write books about themselves, but they'll just maybe title it different, right? Like they won't, they might not say it's them, maybe, but I don't know. I'm not a book author, so I don't know. But clearly, two completely different personalities. That's what I'm getting at, which makes me wonder, like, and this is the last thing that I have to show. So I don't know. Before I give my final opinion on this, what do you think of those two different stories? One, she's so boring, she's got no interest. Her story's at the bottom of the list. And then XJW Selena, she's related to Mary Magdalene from the Bible, right? Same bloodline, right? Her family created Watchtower. What do you get out of this? Is it the same person or what is it?
Well, whether or not it's the same person is one thing, but there's different ideology, and you can definitely see the difference in the ideology. Because to me, if you want to stick it to the man and you're a writer, you've already got the tools. You just have to sit down and write it. And I mean, Brother Franz wrote a book, he's dead, and people are still reading this book. He basically told the behind the scenes of the Watchtower. He, pulled the curtain back and revealed the some things about the Watchtower. Shouldn't she do the same? Shouldn't she want to do the same? Because you can get especially if she's already gotten the one book published, they would most likely, a literary agent would, take your next book at face value, just based upon the sales of the original book or whatever she wrote to begin with. She already has an audience that she could convey the thoughts to, or convince, or to tell her circumstances better. I mean, it's too easy. And then therefore she's telling you in one video she doesn't want to write about her past, but then a couple of years later now she wants to go after Toni Morrison and all this. you know if it was me, the first thing I would do is write a book and expose you, because once I expose you, then I can do anything I want to you. Okay, you're not going to be able to get help from anybody, because they're going to say, "Oh, I read a book about you. You're a monster. Don't come here asking for help or assistance." That's kind of like the art of war. That's how you subdue your enemy without firing a shot. You expose him and encircle him in his own crap, in his own lies, in his own whatever he did, and expose him that way. And I just find it hard to accept that you're willing to go to court and expose them, but you're not willing to write a book. It just doesn't jibe together. It just doesn't make sense.
It seems weird to me.
Yeah. I could be wrong. She could just be a person who doesn't want to focus on that type of writing, but writing is very therapeutic sometimes, and I would think she would want to be heard.
Well,
And
she put out a tree line global and put it, if that's truly her, then she could have easily made up her own YouTube and put out her own videos herself. If you're that's easy enough.
I don't know.
Why would you go around and do something completely different than, if you want to go after these guys and you want to put it on video, just like I said, if I want to be an activist, if I want to tell my story, I'm gonna go tell my story. Like, I'm not gonna, if I tell you this is my profession, and then I start up something that completely different I've never spoken about, and then you got people perpetrating that they're speaking in her name, that is her and it's not her.
Mm-hmm.
Different accounts open out as different accounts. Whoever put that note out with her name on it, it's not, in my opinion, it's not her. That's to throw you off the scent
yeah. They're trying to put a band-aid on it and cover a situation that's really big with a tiny little band-aid. They're trying to cover it or repair the situation or get control of the narrative. That's what I saw the whole last week's fiasco about. They were jockeying for control of the narrative, and they were telling people, "Believe us, we're persecuted women. Oh, we haven't done anything. And Quinn is so violent, and I'm afraid of him." And I couldn't stop laughing, honestly.
But couldn't show nothing to prove that you did anything to him. But they, you know what I'm saying? That's the story they want to put out. And so I'm glad you did the video that you did, because you made it, we can see, the audience can see right through that.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad, or don't think that what you're doing, you're supposed to be doing it. So just making people aware that there's different things, there's different sides to this. So interesting.
As soon as I did the first video, the XJW elites, where I first featured John before me and John met, and I first talked about Selena, right, very first time. I'm not gonna mention names. I'm just gonna give you the facts, because I don't know how all the dots connect, or if they connect. But these are just the facts. I've been doing my YouTube channel now for 2 years. I think August 28th will be, yeah. So by the time I upload this video, it would have been 2 years I've been doing my channel. I've never had any issues. I've never got pulled into arguments. I never got pulled into debates. I never got attacked publicly. Never. The very first video that I put out, when I mentioned the name Selena Vertolomo, I got contacted by an ex-JW couple who I've never spoken to ever before. Right? I've seen them in the comment section. I might have replied to a comment here and there, but I've never actually spoke to them. They send me a message on Facebook and a friend request, an ex-JW couple who I've never spoken to, and they wanted to connect me with another ex-JW activist. And then I connected with this ex-JW activist, and all that I'm saying is that it wasn't until I mentioned the name Selena the first time that these people who I've never met, never wanted to connect, and now suddenly these particular people want to connect with me. That's just one thing. I'm not going to say much more about it because there's other information that's been given to me that makes me a little bit more worried about what I'm saying. But anyway, so that was the first thing that happened. Second thing that happened was again when I reposted that interview, that's when the big attack started. When it was trying to make me take the video down. That was the first, and like you said, John, it seemed like it was kind of sloppily done because yeah, it probably like it was put together quick because it was like, oh, get the video down, get the video down. They didn't have time to really come up with what a better strategy that wasn't so sloppy because it was like they wanted it taken down immediately. So, and again, as those that seen that original video, you've seen the steps, the 4 steps, right? First, force Jimmy to make me take the video down. Second, make a threatening comment, or not a threatening comment, but more so a rude comment, trying to make me take the video down on actual video, a comment directly towards me. That didn't work. Third attempt was that same Selena profile that we know is that fake profile from Twitter. Oh, now Selena magically, right, hasn't been seen in 2 years. Now magically she pops up just to tell this other person to tell me to take the video down. When that didn't work, right? Because as soon as I said we'll have Selena text Jimmy, then Selena disappeared again, right? So then after those 3 attempts failed, that's when it was attacked by reputation. So there is something about this Selena situation that somebody really does not want anybody looking into. And as weird as this is, I can see why. I can see why. And what I honestly think is that there's XJWs who are plants. And I think that some of these people were activated as soon as I mentioned this name. So they really, whatever this thing going on with Selena is, they really don't want anybody to know. And that's why I was attacked. Like I said, I've never been attacked ever in the XJW community. And then within 48 hours, now all of nowhere, oh, I disrespect women. I'm threatening that one person that started it said that she's afraid of me. She's going to take a hiatus from the XJW community. Really? Really? I showed you the whole conversation that I had with that person, right? They're afraid out of, but so because of that, because of the way I was attacked, I still don't know what all this stuff means, but I do feel within this web of lies and deception and like weird clues and mystery, I do feel that somewhere in this there is a real person who might have been harmed, and now somebody is just still using her identity to cover it up, and nobody's going to go looking for her if they think, oh no, Selena's fine. Oh, she's working with investigators, right? That's what's going on. Don't worry about her. I talked to her last week, right? So that's what I think. I think somewhere within this web of mystery, there is a person who's a victim, and I kind of believe that maybe is the Selena that we've seen. But this other stuff, I mean, I don't know. Then another thought I had is it MK Ultra, right? Is it like when Selena's given a book interview, is it MK Ultra where she's another personality, and then when a trigger word goes off, she's the XJW Selena that
Well,
remembers all that stuff?
remember what I told you with MK Ultra, it's all about splintering your mind and creating another personality that resides in you that the controller or that the programmer can call upon at any time. It could be a code word. It could be simple as getting a phone call. And then you're activated and you go off and do whatever you're supposed to do. It all depends on the kind of See, we've all been programmed and all had a level of MK Ultra programming, all of us. And proof of that is can you take the battery out of your cell phone and put it in the top drawer in the kitchen and not touch it for a week? If you can't do that, you've been programmed. You're attached to TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all this social media crap. That's programming. You think you're just using it just, briefly to contact people, let people know, but you're programmed to need this.
So that was my
Sorry.
take on it. My final take is that I do think within this whole mystery, there is a real person that's gone missing. And I think the Treeline Global stuff, I think her identity is just being used and active so that she never shows up as a missing person because it looks like she's active, but I think they're leaving their clues behind that is obviously not her with all the weird things surrounding it.
Yeah.
And it could be MK Ultra, why it's like you're dealing with different personalities. Like maybe that's why she's so different. Like on one Selena, she has such a boring life. There's nothing she wants to write about, and then completely different. Um, so I think it's somewhere between that. Like I think that you're dealing with different personalities, or maybe there is like a doppelganger. Maybe one of them, maybe it's two different people. I don't know. Maybe one of them, MK Ultra assumed a responsibility, or the personality is the person on the couch. Maybe the Selena that we know was brainwashed to think that she's this other person. I don't know. Maybe that's a whole other person on the couch, but somewhere within that, I think there is somebody missing. That's my final thought. So let me just start. Let me start with you, Trina, and then we'll close out with John on this subject. What is your overall what is your overall guess on the Selena thing?
So it's a lot to unpack, because I know some of her story. I don't know all of her story, but it's just the things that you brought up in regards to her background. It's a little suspect, but it's interesting to see, what we find out about, these companies that are, just recently opened up in her name and whoever she's in a partnership with. I mean, that would be something that you can possibly rabbit hole you can go down, and who else is with her on this. Maybe you can research those people.
Yeah, and some of those people were connected back to Selena in Pennsylvania. That's all that I know about them. But this is another reason why I think that these people didn't want me to look into this person, Selena, because now that I'm going to be posting this video, guess what? Everyone's going to be asking about Treeline Global, and it's going to contradict these fake stories that, oh, as Selena texts me and everything is fine. Because now I don't have to do anymore. I'm putting it out here. So I know so many people now are going to start to dig into this. And those that are claiming that they're speaking for Selena, they're going to have to answer these tough questions now that people are going to be raising. Um, but John, so now let me go to you, John. What is your overall assessment of this whole thing? What is your theory?
Okay, you can always edit this out. Um, if she's not okay, she's either somewhere sedated, like I said, in an insane asylum or something. And I say that because if she comes from a very specific bloodline, they can't kill their own. They can't kill royal blood. Now that's as far as I'll go into that. I won't go into the hows and the whys, but if she is a part of a family that's a part of a certain bloodline, they can't kill her. The most they can do is sedate her and throw her in some hospital and say she has psychiatric problems and she has to be kept sedated. And that's where she is. But I highly doubt that you'll find her, in a ditch somewhere. That no. If she were some regular person, maybe. But with what little I know of her and her background and things like that, and things of that nature, I would say, it's either she's somewhere incapacitated. They don't want her talking to anyone. They don't want her communicating with anyone. but because she comes from a quote unquote certain bloodline, they can't kill her. They can only just, put her somewhere and watch her and try to, control everything she does. It's either that or, maybe we're talking about two different people, or maybe we're talking about a woman who resembles Selena so much they decided to shoehorn her into Selena's life, and she's doing the public thing, and everybody is seeing her, and so that nobody is thinking foul play. That's just off the top of my head. It's weird, to say the least, and it's only become weird with the new information that we have. I mean, when Jimmy did the interview, you know, when he did the first interview with her, we all thought, wow, she's a courageous person. She's coming forward and blah, 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 blah. But now with the ad, and for me, I'll just say it straight out. For me, it was the fact that they tried to fake some kind of contact with Selena, some text messages, and they said, oh, I got a text from Selena. And she, that was it for me. That was the one pivotal point that made me think, this whole thing is bullshit, because I'm thinking, why did she text you out of the blue? Why didn't she text Jimmy or someone else? Why did she text you out of the blue? Who are you? And then I got to think about, Freemasonry and the other stuff involved. And I thought, but yeah, that's my little take on it, my little 2 cents.
The Selena on the far left, they wrote the book that has a boring life. Like I almost wonder, is that person even affiliated with Jehovah's Witnesses? Is she just a normal young mother, young wife, like plain person? And did they replace her? You
Well,
know,
you got to keep in
is
mind that she has been essayed for the better part of 10, 12 years of her life. So that's trauma that does create or does splinter your mind. So the person who is the abuser becomes the programmer, and eventually, you come to the person that abuses you. This person becomes everything to you. They become God. They become, whatever you think is lofty to you. That's what this person becomes, and that's that's the highest form of trauma there is. So what I'm saying is she had these terrible experiences that happened to her, but maybe it wasn't out of convenience. Maybe it was on purpose. Because there again, like I said, I've said this before, the people that are, essayed in the kingdom halls is done on purpose. They choose who they want. And it's not random at all. It's not random.